Okay, welcome everybody, and thanks for joining us at Tartan Ties. We're at Scotch College Swanbourne on Wodjuk Noongar land, and again we're talking to another OSC who's agreed to join us this morning. We're talking to Tom Gallagher, who is a surf lifesaver and Paralympian, and joining us from the Goldie, where he now lives. Thanks for making the time, Tom. People will remember Tom most recently from the spectacular first Australian swimming gold medal of the Paris Paralympics Games, and we're going to get to that story in due course. But let's just situate you, Tom, in the Scotch universe.
Yeah.
Tell us about when you came, when you left, and a little bit about your memories of Scotch. Best teacher, worst teacher.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Obviously, Scotch had a massive part of my upbringing, and it's good to kind of come on here and tell my story. So, yeah, so I came to Scotch in year six, I believe. I don't really remember too much of the early days, but it was obviously, I suppose, in the early days of Scotch from year six to year, say, nine, you don't really remember so much of the education part. It's all about the sport, being with your mates, just kind of the values. That's the main thing I kind of took from Scotch College as a whole. The values, the assemblies, to be like the schoolroom. Everyone has a schoolroom. Every school does. We had bagpipes. I mean, not too many can kind of say that. So in terms of the Scotch element, yeah, from year nine to kind of year 12, then it's kind of more the academic side, which is amazing facilities at Scotch, some of the best teachers in Australia. But the experience as a whole it set me up in life for the values, working hard, persistence, etc. So I really value my days at Scotch, and it's definitely helped me on my path to become the man I am today.
That's sensational. In fact, we're talking to you in October, the week after the Year 12 boys march out.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I'm sure that's a big day,
yeah, yeah. I
big memory.
remember. Yeah, I remember my march out. I think 2016 now. So
Yep.
definitely, I'm getting old. I'm getting on. But no, congratulations to all the recent graduates, and it's a big day, and I certainly remember that day as if it was yesterday, although it definitely wasn't.
Near enough. Let's swing into your sports story, which
Yeah,
we were just having a brief chat before, which started whilst you were at school.
yeah,
Um, but you're a clubby. You're a surf club member. You're at City of Perth down at City Beach.
yep, yep.
Um, Tell us how that started, and in particular, I guess, in setting the scene. Maybe we'll get into it a little bit more detail, but you, as a young bloke, already knew that you had cerebral palsy, and you already knew about some pancreatitis. How was that, and how did that set you off on that path?
Yes, it's quite an interesting story actually, which, funnily enough, actually kind of involves Scotch somewhat. So, in terms of the cerebral palsy component, I actually didn't know I had CP until I was 12. Obviously,
Right.
I had it my whole life. It was the birth trauma, but I always got. Well, actually, my mum is a doctor, so she really should have picked on it early. But so I remember one day it was after I believe Mr. Ramsey's middle school cross country days. Could have been. I might not have been Mr. Ramsey or someone. It was cross country, and I pulled up really sore. Like I was an athletic kid. I played rugby union, footy, everything. I think I did competitive diving, tennis. But one day I just pulled up really sore. It was through my development stages, and I was limping, and I just noticed compared to the other kind of guys I was versing, I just took a lot to recover, and I'll be limping around everywhere. I'll try really hard. I suppose it comes back to that a lot of my story, just the work ethic. So essentially, my mum took me to the neurologist, and they diagnosed me with CP. And at this stage, I was about 12. And
Mm.
after the diagnosis, we went and had lunch and pretended like it never happened. It didn't change anything for me. I got on with life. Suppose, although I do have CP, and it does affect me because I have to do a lot of one percenters that people don't see. Like growing up, I would stretch every night for an hour. I would have to have massages every single day from my dad. Little things like that for me to be competitive with and I did able-bodied sport until I was
Yep.
21, and I was
Yep.
successful. I was, I believe, like short course pulling out a gold champion. I got the double open under 19 Ironman state titles, etc. So that was that kind of component, and that's my CP story. Never let it get me down, because I feel as I'm in a lucky position compared to other people with CP. It does affect me, yes, but you see people in wheelchairs and other people on the team like Rachel Watson, who's affected by something like that, and she does amazing things. So it's kind of like it never let me down, but it's a part of me, and I love it. I embrace it. And then in terms of the pancreatitis, that was possibly worse, because I had, in total, just to summarize, I had 24 attacks, and I was hospitalized. After Tokyo, I nearly died. I had an attack that sent me to hospital for a month. I got told to retire from swimming 15 plus times. So that was that kind of element of the pancreatitis, which was just another hurdle, like being told in hospital that your internal organs are shutting down, because it wasn't just the pancreas. There was no blood flow during exercise to any organs. And
Wow.
essentially they said swimming's the worst thing you could do, and I said I'm not stopping, so you guys better find a way to fix it. And in the end, through a Dr. Yo in Sydney, and my mum, she found him, and since that I've been good to go, and it doesn't affect me anymore. So that's that pancreas side as well.
That's fantastic. And I guess that's the interesting thing. As a clubber, you're on the beach.
Yeah.
There's heaps of Scotch Collegians who are, down at Northcote or at City or wherever. And one of the great things is you've got incredible opportunities to compete. There's a lot of different disciplines. You're competing with able-bodied competitors. And you're out there absolutely scorching it. That's a huge incentive, I guess. It's an ongoing incentive to maintain that level, but it's also a lot of pressure. It's a huge, and it's a lot of pressure on your academics and everything else while you go through.
Yeah, well, in terms of me, when the word pressure, it's kind of, I love it. I love pressure. I embrace it. For example, in school, in terms of my academics, that year, I remember year 12, I didn't stop training. I was full-time training. I remember the days before my exams, the morning of, I was training. And then in the hour after my exam, I'll go train again, because I was obviously training for state championships, the Aussies, etc. And in my surf club days. So the element of pressure for me, I'm a big believer in pressure as a privilege. I didn't have to go do clubbies. I didn't have to do what I did, but it was a choice. I think people use the word sacrifice, and I'll talk about that later. But for me, in my surf club days, my swimming days, personally, there is no sacrifice. I choose to do it. I love it. There is, I suppose, an element of sacrifice if you want to look at like the social life and stuff, but that's a choice. I'm not on the front line. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a firefighter. For me, the pressure, all that, it's what I love. I love it. And it's, say if someone said, oh, you can go out with your mates and party, or you can go have a really hard hit out good session. I'll choose a session every single day of the week, and that's purely out of love. So that's that kind of pressure element, is purely love.
It's an obsession to an extent, but
it's an addiction as well.
Channeled.
It's an addiction. And even in my studies academically at Scotch, I ended up with I believe like an 87 ATAR, which for me, considering the academics were really important, I studied really hard. I actually have dyslexia as well. So I have dyslexia. It obviously affected me my whole life, but again, it's an obstacle that I had to come over, and it makes the result even better when you do something like that. Now, I went on to finish a business and marketing degree through all my training, and now I'm actually studying architecture.
Fantastic.
So in terms of the academics and balancing it, the pressure, it's my choice. I love it. And it's also the team around me. It's not just me. I got the easy job. I just rock up, swim. I rock up, do my exams, for example, for the current year 12s. And it's the people around me, mum, dad, my brother, that do all the 1%ers so I can do what I want to do. So it's full credit to them.
Just to get it on the record, we've got you as both the Open and the Under-19 Ironman Gold in 2018, Under-19 board relay at the Aussies, bronze in the Under-19 Ironman, Open short course, as you said, Dean Mercer Memorial Trophy, all in the open field without any sort of compensation or anything for any disability. You then, how's the thinking go, and how quickly did you move into flat water swimming?
So it was essentially I was injured 10 months. I'm just putting it in perspective. It was right before Nutrigrain trials, and I was probably on the cusp of Nutrigrain at that point, which is in surf club for all of you guys who don't know, it's the pinnacle of the sport. Anyway, it was about 2 weeks before that. Yeah, I got injured and I couldn't compete in that. And someone came up to me who knew I had cerebral palsy and were like, "Do you want to try swimming, pool swimming?" Because swimming was always my strength in surf club, and I was like, I'm not too sure. Like, I've never really enjoyed the pool swimming, but that was purely because I'd never put the time into it and I never really thought about it. So this was 10 months before the Tokyo Games. Someone just made the suggestion, and then I had 10 months to get ready for the games.
Tell us, it's a little bit of a dark art to a lot of us who, you know, to be honest, on behalf of all of Australia and all of the world, we don't really understand the classifications. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about this S10
Yeah.
classification and how that works.
So in terms of the physical impairments, you've got S1 and then you've got S10. So S1 is the most significantly affected. So that could be like limb loss. They would have no arms, maybe one leg. And then you get to S10, which is the most minimal impacted. So, for example, you've got people with missing fingers. You got me with minor cerebral palsy. And one of my main competitors in Australia, he's got the same as me, minor CP. So when you watch the racing, it doesn't look. I suppose the expectation with a lot of the para swimmers is you see the lower classes and you presume that's what you're going to see, but no. So there's that range, and it essentially makes the impairments that we do have, it equals it all out. So you get to race people with an equal impairment, and then outside of that, you got S11 to S13, which is the visual impairment, and then you got the S14, which is the intellectual impairment. So S10 is a minimal impairment. Another example could be a missing foot or a couple missing fingers. It's very minimal, but it obviously still affects your performance.
Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah,
And again, you know, equally impressive that you sort of, most of us don't even book our holidays that far advance in terms of a trip to Tokyo,
yeah,
or
yeah,
that soon. But you stepped into the pool. You got a bronze in the men's 400,
yeah, yeah,
and there's a, where am I? Men's 50 and men's 100. You got fifths,
yeah.
but so tell us what that first experience was like, and then in particular, you know, the emergency that really descended on you at the end of that big race.
Yeah, so essentially, in the lead up to that game, my coach at that time, and he's still my coach to the day, Ash Callis at Somerset. So our whole
Yeah.
goal was just to make the team. Like, I had 10 months; it's unheard of to. And the times, it's not like, oh, you could just. I wasn't a pool swimmer. My PB heading in at the start of the year was 4:11, and I had to get it down to get that medal 4:03. So I had to drop a significant amount of time in terms of the pool to get the medal, let alone make the team. So our whole goal was make team. That was it. Simple as made that team, and then it was like, okay, let's build it up, build it up. And this was I was only training for the 400 at this stage. I wasn't actually training for sprint events. So the 50 and 100 where I got fifth, it was just a warm up essentially. So yeah, my coach, we had one event, one opportunity to medal after we made the team. We got the medal, and then after that, it went really downhill. So the majority of my memory from Tokyo was really negative, if I'm being honest. After the event, I had a significant pancreas attack. It was unheard of. I was in hospital for 2 weeks. This is peak COVID, so I was by myself with a team doctor, and that was it.
But this isn't just after the event. This is literally at the
Straight
end of the
after.
event and not
Yeah,
being able to make it onto the
yeah,
podium to get
yeah,
that medal.
yeah. This is within 10 minutes of the
Yep.
400 finishing, and then I was rushed to hospital, missed the podium. Was really close to death, to be honest. My internal organs were shutting down. My blood was clotting. Everything that could have gone wrong with the body went wrong purely because I had to push myself to get that medal. And if I'm being honest, and I haven't told a lot of people this, but I may as well now because I've moved on from it now. In the morning swim, I had a bit of a pancreas attack, but I decided not to tell anyone. So I kind of, in a way, I knew it was coming. And if anyone had pancreatitis, they know how painful it is. And after having, I think, 24 attacks, I knew it was coming, and it was devastating and very, very painful. It took me 2 weeks in hospital, isolation afterwards in Australia because at that point it was mid-COVID. So it was a lot, and it's something that was a negative situation, but I think I've turned it into a positive because it's made me a stronger person. I don't think there's much that can hurt me now in terms of physical pain. I can push my body to extremes that not a lot of people can, and I think of it as a positive thing. And it was an aspect of growth that I wouldn't have had if it didn't happen.
Did you swing between that's it, I'm done, the universe is trying to give me a message, through to I'm going to crack through this no matter what? Where were you in thinking between, obviously, you've come out the other side, but where were you in the moment?
Oh, I was never stopping.
Right.
A lot of people presumed I was going to retire, but as soon as I got back to Australia, I remember within, I think it was 2 weeks, and this was a major attack. You probably should have been in hospital for 6 weeks. The first thing I got home and went for a run. So there was nothing that was going to stop me. I remember I got told to retire multiple times by family members. Like, people were pleading me to retire, and I said no, it's not happening. It, in hindsight, wasn't the most sensible thing, and I really wouldn't recommend it. But if anyone knows me, they just knew that it wasn't going to happen, and I was more motivated than ever to get my goals achieved.
How quick is that, or what's the time of that recovery through to when you actually felt, after your operation with Dr. Yo, etc.?
Yeah, so after Tokyo, I actually continued. So they got rid of my 400 at the games. So in the Paralympics, occasionally, for whatever reason, there's an event that gets taken away. So they decided it to be the 400. For whatever reason, I don't know. So it all of a sudden became, okay, I've gone from surf life saving Coolangatta Golds, which is a 2.5 hour race, to a 4 minute race. And now the only races I could do were 100 meter freestyle, 100 meter backstroke, or 50 freestyle. And I've never done backstroke in my life. And I got given 5 months notice to, oh, Tom, if you want to make team, you're going to have to learn how to do backstroke. And I've never done backstroke in my life. And the qualifying time at that point was about 8 seconds quicker than my PB, which I just did at training. And I made the team, actually. So I made the team off that after another setback. It took me 5 months to make that one. And then a week after making team, I had another major pancreas attack, and then I got kicked off that team. And then at that point, even I was like, it's not me. I legally wasn't allowed on team. It was a medical risk. They didn't want to bring me anymore, so I had to go away. And full credit to my parents, Lisa and John. They took hours, weeks, months to find a surgeon who would do the specific surgery that's never been done before. So Dr. Yo from Sydney did a surgery that's probably meant for 80-year-old non-athletes, and essentially it allows blood flow to my internal organs during exercise, because during Tokyo I was getting 0% blood flow during exercise, which is nuts to think about. And then from there, that allowed me to get into my 50 and the 100 after a lot of recovery. So the surgery was in September, and I moved back to the Gold Coast start of September. I moved back to the Gold Coast in the end of October. It's back to my coach, Ash Callis, who is one of the main reasons I'm here today. So I trust Ash, and he set me on the path for the 50-meter freestyle, 100-meter freestyle, which he knows a bit about, because he was in that Sydney 2000 relay, the 4x1 freestyle, and he was the Australian record holder in 50 freestyle for about 10 plus years. So
people remember that name, I'm sure.
Yeah, they will. He was definitely the person to go to in that situation.
So again, from Australia's point of view, we see these little glimpses every 4 years, but you've gone on, to the Australian multi-class swimming in 2021 and got a gold. You've gone to the World Para Swimmings in Manchester the year after and got sprint medals. You're consistently taking advantage of these opportunities to compete and challenge yourself and build up to, the next Paralympics.
Yeah, well, for me, the whole experience of the build-up from Tokyo to Paris, it was like the world. It was just purely a learning experience, because I still haven't been doing it for that long. That was my third international competition. It was only my second doing the events that I won gold in and bronze in.
Right.
So it was a pure learning experience. It was a lot of trust in Ash. Essentially, I said, Ash, I want to achieve these goals, and I told him this 18 months out from Paris, and I said, I trust you whatever I have to do, I'll do. And I did. And purely through process, we didn't talk about results. The whole time it was process driven. It was stroke counts, if you know swimming terminology, stroke counts, techniques. And essentially, I didn't actually get my game plan right until the Paris final. I wasn't tapered. He didn't taper me for any events during the season, so I was always fatigued, and I just trusted him, and he got me the results.
Yep. So then let's jump to the big game and the one that people will, as I said, most recently remember. I'll do a little setup because we, as we talked about, we've got a little clip which we'll play of that event. It's exciting. It's only 23.4 seconds long, which is pretty exciting. And you can hear from the commentators themselves, they're not staying dispassionate. They are so on your side, which is fabulous and really exciting. Let's have a look at that, and then we can see the medal, and we'll hear what you what's your reflection on that afterwards. So let's watch the clip.
Away we go in the splash and dash. Tom Gallagher, the favourite, 23.33 in the heat this morning, just outside the world record time of 23.16. He's been challenged early by Raimondi in lane number 5. Rodriguez going well in lane 3. Don't rule out Crothers. Can Gallagher finish strong here? Tom Gallagher over the top of Rodriguez, gets it done. Tom Gallagher wins gold for Australia. They're first at Paris 2024.
That's the men's 50 free. 50 metres is a really short course. You know, it's pretty unusual. Tell us, is there anything in your memory of that, or is it a blur? How does that sit with you now? How was it?
So in the heats, I posted a quicker time than the actual final. So, and again, I talked about process prior, and for me, it was the whole process was get my dive right. That's all that matters. And in the final, I missed the start. I had a shocking start. I had a bad reaction time. It was the only thing we've been working on for the last 6 months was the start. So in that moment, that's when the training came in. That's when the training kicked in. You win your race, not on the day, I think. You win it in your prep. And I knew in that moment to stay relaxed. I mean, I hadn't lost a 50 for months. Like no one was beating me. And it was the ability to just go to autopilot that won me that race. All I remember, and I remember it fairly clearly, because which is surprising because it was the only real race that I do remember. I remember 15 out, which is awful to do. I had a quick glance to my right to the Brazilian, and I was like, okay, I've got a bit of work to do here, but I didn't worry about it. I knew it was coming because my back end is the strength to my race. So the main thing I suppose I thought about and remember the whole race was just staying relaxed and trusting the process and trusting the game plan and trusting my coaching staff and just allowing the 50s a very different race. You want to stay relaxed. The 100, the 400, you want to put a grunt into it. But if you do that with the 50, you tense up and it just doesn't work, especially for me. So yeah, all I remembered was staying relaxed and just touching the wall, seeing number 1. And then, to be honest, the Brazilian next to me, who's a really good bloke, was celebrating harder than me. So I thought there was something wrong with the board. I was, oh no, I'm not much of a celebrator. And he was on the lane ropes and doing all this, and which I love to see it, but I'm just not like that. I just, cheeky, slap of the water. So that's all I kind of remember in that moment, just being like, oh, I see, I've got something wrong here. Maybe I didn't win. So but no, it was great.
I guess that's also demonstrative of the fact that these are personal victories. You're competing against each other. You're competing against yourself more, and you say relax. I mean, finding time to relax within that 23 seconds is pretty awesome. So and again, because I love a stat, I'm looking at the current world record chart for 50 able-bodied. So the able-bodied 50 record at the moment, world record's held by a Brazilian guy, Cesar Cielo, I think it is. He's at 20 seconds.
20
so the difference, that's right, 20.9 I think it is.
Nice.
The difference between you and he is, pretty minimal. And then interestingly as well, you go back to the great Matt Biondi, who old blokes like me will remember, in 1986. he's swimming a 22.3 as the able-bodied world record, which is pretty extraordinary. And then Eamon Sullivan's on that list at 21 seconds.
Yeah.
So swimming, of course, like the 100-metre sprint is measured in these incredibly small increments. But you guys are competing at a massively impressive level.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, like, you talk about the comparison between the Paralympics and Olympians, and I have the utmost respect for the both Olympic and Paralympic athletes. Cam McAvoy, who obviously won the Olympic 50, which is an amazing swim, and he's done great things, was 20. Don't quote me on this. 21, very very low. Whether it was 21.2 or 21.3, I think it was 21.2. The comparisons between I suppose the Paralympic and Olympic, it is hard to make in a way because there's just different circumstances, and you can't like, I don't know what Cam's thinking. All I know is myself. So essentially, the big advantage for me, I suppose, is I race people who beat me every single day at the Somerset College. I train with a bunch of able-bodied athletes, and we got. In that squad, you got one of New Zealand. He was a New Zealand record holder, Michael Pickett. You've got one of my great mates and great training partner, Andrew Newling, and all these guys consistently were above me. So I was chasing. So, and even in season, I was racing able-bodied athletes the whole time. I was racing Rowan Crothers, who's another Paralympic, who's at an extremely high level. And not taking away from my Paralympic events, I prefer racing the Paralympic events in terms of in season. You get a race Rowan. There's another guy called Nick, Alex Tuckerfield, who's coming through in the Paralympic scheme. But the beautiful thing about swimming is that we can all race, and there is a camaraderie between the both sides. And if you make a comparison between the times, they don't seem so big. But I can take a lot of information. I can watch Cam swim, for example, and I can take information from that swim and use it for myself. There's not such a separation where Cam's swim for me is irrelevant. No, like, he's done this element really, like, he's got an amazing stroke. So I'm really trying to visualize, and through Ash pretty essentially tells me what to do, and I just follow. But there's information from the able-bodied athletes, whether it's a Cam, whether it's an Ash, whether it's a Caesar Cielo, that I can use personally. And I watched a heck of a lot of races. In the Paralympics, we had before me, Andre Brazil, you had Maxim Krypak, and I suppose it's being a student of the sport, and I'm in a lucky situation where I can pick and choose between the Paralympics and the Olympics for information to make myself better, because at the end of the day, it's all about improving yourself.
Yeah. So just winding towards our close, firstly, let's see the medal. But while you show us the medal, because it's exciting and it's huge.
Yeah, it is. It's a you guys probably know by now. So you got piece of the Eiffel Tower at the front, and then which is pretty cool. It might be a bit wonky soon, but who knows? And then for us, the difference between the Paralympic and Olympic medals is the back. So they had, I'm not too sure on the back of ours, but I don't know if you guys can see it. Yep. So this is actually a view of the Eiffel Tower from below, which is pretty incredible. And then, it's that thick that I've got I don't know if you can see it, my camera is shocking, but I got my vents on the bottom there. So this is the only one I have with me at the moment. The other two are away. So I thought I'd only bring the gold out, It's all about the gold.
Don't shame the other ones.
No, not the ones.
You're holding that medal. What does that mean, to you personally? How does that... has it changed your life? How many more people want a piece of you? And how do you use that maybe to inspire you or to inspire others?
Yeah.
Where's that taking you?
Yeah, no, great question. For me, well, first of all, has it changed my life? No, I'm still the same person. I suppose swimming's all about getting better. And me and my coach, Ash, always say it's about the process. It's about the end journey. I wasn't on the podium thinking this is it, like my life's complete. I was thinking on the podium, how did I get here? Like the journey, the things I had to overcome. And this is just, I know it's cliche, but it's the cherry on the top. It doesn't change who I am. It doesn't, my mum and dad would be proud of me if I got gold or if I got last. Probably wouldn't have been fed that night. No, so for me, yeah, the medal, it gives great opportunities, and I'm glad I've ticked that off because that's that pressure off the back. But it hasn't made me any less motivated. If not, it's made me more motivated to continue that success because I used to be the chaser. Now I'm going to be the chased. And I love working, and I love just being behind closed doors. I'm not big on social media. I just get my work done. And yeah, this medal's opened up doors for me, and I'm just happy that I could get it for Australia more so, and for my team around me rather than just myself. It was Australia's first goal, which is something that's unbelievable. It's for my parents, it's for my coach, it's for my friends, rather than just me. Because for me now, I'm back into training tomorrow, actually, and I've been gymming this whole time. My motivation's still there. I've got one, which is good, but I want to be great. I want two. And then after that, I probably want three. So as soon as I lose that motivation, it shows that that's time to retire, and the medal's not changed too much for me. I'm still motivated and still excited to swim.
Yeah. That's perfect. A couple of 2-second quick fire questions.
Yep.
What's on your playlist? What music motivates you?
Country music.
Serious?
Organ Wallet. I was rocking that just before the race.
What's your usual breakfast?
I have a steak, eggs, avocado, and toast.
Steak.
Yeah.
What's your wake up time and what's your bedtime?
Wake up time 5 a.m. Bedtime 8:30.
Early.
Yeah.
Hours in the pool versus hours in the gym.
Yeah, hours in the pool. It's 2 hours 8 times a week. In the gym, 2 hours 3 times a week, and then I do Pilates, yoga, etc. as well.
And part of that is still in terms of response to all of your not just your preparation, but everything else. Yeah, cool. Sorry, just holding up another message for me. But if we sign off, what would you say? So we're just coming out of a fantastic second year back-to-back win for the Scotch boys at the PSA, which is a bit of a turnaround. And they've had some fantastic coaching, and you're speaking about how inspirational your coaches are is fantastic. What would you say to Scotch boys, Scotch swimmers?
Just a bit of motivation, I suppose. Well, surprise! Back in our day, we weren't exactly the greatest at PSA, so to turn that around is very impressive. So I suppose just to trust the boy next to you. You don't win those things off one individual performance. It's being consistent at training. On the day, the results will come based off your work that you've already done. So back your coaches, back the boy next to you, and just enjoy it.
Tom Gallagher, the two things you've said, that pressure is a privilege is just a whole new way of thinking about things. I think that's awesome, and that you win in the preparation. That really demonstrates the mindset. We wish you every success and every luck, both in and out of the pool. And thanks for joining us on Tartan Ties today.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
Cheers.
Cheers.